The little girl's hand trembled as she tugged at Brandon Cole's sleeve. Her brown eyes were wide with fear, darting toward the closed office door and back to his face. She was only 7 years old, with thick braids tied with colorful beads that clicked softly when she moved. Her small voice barely rose above a whisper. "Mr. Brandon, there is something bad in your office. Please, you have to listen to me." Brandon knelt down, his tall frame folding to meet her eye level. He wore a bright blue button-down shirt, the sleeves rolled to his elbows, revealing strong forearms. His dark skin gleamed under the afternoon light streaming through the windows. At 38, he had built a technology empire from nothing, but right now, all his attention focused on this frightened child. "Nia, sweetheart, what is it? You can tell me anything." Her small fingers gripped his sleeve tighter. "There is a camera. A tiny camera. I saw it when I was hiding behind the plant during hide and seek. It was pointing at your desk." The words hit Brandon like cold water. His heart began to race, but he kept his face calm for Nia's sake. He gently placed his hands on her shoulders. "Show me exactly where you saw it, okay? You are very brave for telling me." Nia nodded, her beads clicking as she led him down the hall. Her mother, Patricia Thompson, emerged from the kitchen, wiping her hands on her apron. Patricia was 45, with smooth dark skin and kind eyes that had seen hardship but never lost their warmth. She had started working as Brandon's housekeeper just 2 weeks ago after losing her previous job when the family she worked for moved overseas. The position had been a lifeline, saving her and Nia from potential eviction. "Nia, baby, are you bothering Mr. Cole?" "No, Mama. I found something important." Nia's voice wavered between pride and fear. Brandon smiled reassuringly at Patricia. "She is helping me with something. We will be right back." Patricia nodded, though concern flickered across her face. She trusted her daughter's instincts. Nia had always been observant, noticing details others missed. Inside the office, Brandon's sanctuary of dark wood and floor-to-ceiling bookshelves suddenly felt violated. Nia walked straight to the large potted fern near his mahogany desk. She pointed to a spot behind the cascading green fronds. "There. See it? The tiny black dot." Brandon leaned closer, his breath catching. She was right. Hidden between the leaves was a small lens, no bigger than a pencil eraser. His stomach twisted. Someone had been watching him, recording him, in his own home. He straightened up, his mind racing through possibilities. Who would do this? What? How long had it been there? He thought of all the confidential calls he had taken at this desk, all the private documents he had reviewed, all the moments he believed were secure. "Nia, you did the right thing by telling me. This is very serious, but I need you to do something for me. Can you be brave a little longer?" She nodded, her small chin lifting with determination. "Do not tell anyone else about this yet. Not even your mama, just for a little while. Can you do that?" "Yes, sir." "Good girl. Now let's go back out there and act like nothing is wrong. But you keep your eyes open. If you see anything else strange, anything at all, you come tell me privately." "Okay." "Okay, Mr. Brandon." They walked back to the living room where Patricia was dusting the mantel. The large room was filled with afternoon sunlight, reflecting off the polished marble floors. Everything looked normal, peaceful even. But Brandon's world had just shifted on its axis. "Everything all right?" Patricia asked, studying his face. "Yes, Nia was just showing me her hiding spot. She is very good at hide and seek." Brandon managed a smile, though his mind was churning. Patricia laughed. "That girl can find the smallest spaces. Sometimes I think she is part mouse." Nia giggled, but her eyes met Brandon's in silent understanding. She was keeping the secret. The rest of the afternoon passed in a blur. Brandon went through the motions, responding to Patricia's questions about dinner preferences, thanking her for organizing his library, playing a quick card game with Nia before they left for the evening. But inside, his thoughts were screaming. Someone close to him had planted that camera. Someone with access to his home. Someone he trusted. His mind went immediately to Valerie Winters, his fiancée of 6 months. She was the only other person besides his housekeeper and a few close friends who spent significant time in his home. Valerie was beautiful, charming, and had swept into his life like a whirlwind a year ago. They had met at a charity gala. She worked in marketing, or so she said. She had shown interest in his work, his dreams, his life. The proposal had felt right at the time. But now doubt crept in like poison. Could she be behind this? The thought made him sick. He had been ready to marry her, to build a life together. But the camera did not lie. Someone was spying on him, and the list of suspects was painfully short. After Patricia and Nia left, Brandon sat alone in his living room. The house, usually his refuge, now felt like a trap. He pulled out his phone and dialed Gerald Hansen, his attorney and one of his oldest friends. Gerald had been with him since the early days when Brandon was just a kid with a computer and a dream. "Gerald, I need you to come over." "No." "And call Ben Carter too. Tell him to bring his equipment." "Brandon, what is going on? You sound tense." "I will explain when you get here. Just come. And Gerald, do not tell anyone where you are going." "Understood. We will be there in 30 minutes. Brandon ended the call and stood pacing the room. His eyes scanned every corner, every shelf, every piece of furniture. How many more cameras were there? How long had he been watched? The violation felt like a knife twisting in his gut. He thought of Nia's frightened face, her small voice trembling as she told him the truth. That little girl had more courage than most adults he knew. She could have ignored it, convinced herself she was seeing things. But she had trusted him enough to speak up. Whatever came next, Brandon knew one thing for certain. He owed that child a debt he could never fully repay. She had just saved him from a disaster he had not even known was coming. The doorbell rang, pulling him from his thoughts. Gerald and Ben stood on the porch, their faces serious. Gerald was 55, with silver hair and sharp gray eyes that missed nothing. Ben was 28, a tech genius Brandon had hired 3 years ago. The young man carried a large black case. "Talk to us," Gerald said as they entered. Brandon locked the door behind them and led them to the office. He explained everything from Nia's discovery to his own suspicions. Ben immediately opened his case, pulling out detection equipment. "If there is one camera, there are probably more," Ben said, his fingers moving quickly over his devices. "These things are rarely installed alone." For the next 2 hours they searched. Ben's equipment beeped and flashed as he swept every room. The results were chilling. 12 cameras. 12 tiny lenses hidden throughout Brandon's home. In the office, the living room, the kitchen, even his bedroom. Brandon felt sick. His privacy had been completely destroyed. "Who has access to your house?" Gerald asked, pulling out a legal pad. "Patricia, my housekeeper, but she just started 2 weeks ago. These have been here longer, according to Ben's analysis." Ben nodded. "Based on the dust patterns and the model numbers, I would say 6 months, maybe longer." 6 months. Right around the time Brandon had proposed to Valerie. "Valerie," Brandon said quietly. "It has to be her." Gerald's jaw tightened. "We need proof before we make accusations. Ben, can you trace where these feeds are going?" "I'm already on it. Give me some time." Have you ever wondered what you would do if someone you trusted betrayed you in the worst possible way? Would you confront them immediately, or would you gather evidence first? What would you do if a child's innocent observation revealed a truth that could change your entire life? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and do not forget to subscribe so you never miss what happens next in this story of deception, courage, and unexpected love. Brandon looked at his friends, then thought of Patricia and Nia. That mother and daughter had walked into his life at exactly the right moment. Patricia's honest work ethic and Nia's sharp eyes had given him a gift he had not even known he needed. The truth. Whatever came next, Brandon was ready. He had good people on his side. And he would not rest until he found out who was behind this and why. As the night deepened, Ben worked at his laptop, Gerald made notes for the legal case they might need to build, and Brandon sat watching them, his mind already planning his next moves. He would not be a victim. He would not let whoever did this get away with it. But first he needed proof. Real, solid, undeniable proof. And then he would make sure justice was served. The sun rose over Brandon's estate, casting golden light through the windows. But there was no warmth in his heart. He had not slept. Ben had worked through the night, his fingers flying over keyboards, tracing digital signatures and server locations. Gerald had dozed in an armchair for a few hours but was now awake, nursing black coffee. "I have got something," Ben announced, his eyes red from staring at screens. "The feed from these cameras is going to a server downtown. It is registered to a private investigation firm called Sentinel Solutions." Brandon's hands clenched into fists. Private investigators. Someone hired them to spy on me. "That is the next step," Gerald said, setting down his coffee. "We need to find out who hired them. But legally we have to be careful. If we confront them directly, they could destroy evidence. So what do? Gerald adjusted his glasses. "We document everything. We keep the cameras in place but monitor what they are seeing. We control the information flow. And we find out who is paying Sentinel Solutions." Ben nodded. "I can set up a counter-surveillance system. We will know every time someone accesses those camera feeds. And I can trace payment records if you give me a few days." Brandon paced the room, his bright blue shirt from yesterday now wrinkled. How long do I have to pretend everything is normal? As long as it takes to build an airtight case, Gerald replied firmly. If Valerie is behind this, and I suspect she is, we need to know why. Industrial espionage? Blackmail? Divorce strategy? The motive matters in terms of charges and civil liability. I can't believe I almost married her. You did not, Gerald reminded him. Thanks to a very observant little girl. Brandon thought of Nia, her frightened face and brave voice. He needed to protect her and Patricia. If Valerie knew that Nia had discovered the cameras, she might become dangerous. Not physically, perhaps, but she could make their lives difficult. Patricia and Nia cannot know about this yet, Brandon decided. If they act differently around Valerie, she might suspect something. Agreed, Gerald said. We keep the circle small. Just the three of us and Officer Rachel Kim. I called her this morning. She is with the Tech Crimes Unit and completely trustworthy. She will help us build the case properly. When do I meet her? This afternoon. She is coming by at 2 o'clock. Patricia will be here, right? Brandon checked his watch. She arrives at 10 with Nia. School is out for teacher conferences today. Good. Act normal. Let them work. Valerie is coming for dinner tonight, correct? Brandon's stomach turned at the thought. Yes. She wants to discuss wedding flowers. Perfect. You play the loving fiancé. Let her think she is winning. Meanwhile, we will be watching her watch you. The doorbell rang at exactly 10 o'clock. Patricia entered with Nia, both wearing bright smiles. Patricia had on a green blouse that brought out the warmth in her eyes. Nia wore a red dress with white flowers, her braids freshly done. Good morning, Mr. Cole, Patricia said cheerfully. Nia wanted to come help me today since she is off school. That is wonderful, Brandon replied, managing a genuine smile for the little girl. Good morning, Nia. Good morning, Mr. Brandon. Nia's eyes searched his face looking for signals. He gave her a subtle nod. Everything was okay. She relaxed slightly. Patricia began her work, moving through the house with practiced efficiency. Brandon watched her, noticing details he had missed before. The way she hummed softly while dusting. The care she took with his belongings. The gentle patience she showed when Nia asked to help with tasks. This woman was nothing like Valerie. Patricia was genuine, warm, and honest. She worked hard for everything she had. She had raised Nia alone after her husband died 5 years ago. She never complained or made excuses. She simply did what needed to be done. Mr. Brandon? Nia appeared at his elbow, holding a feather duster that was bigger than she was. Yes, sweetheart. Can I dust the books in your office? Mama said I could if you said yes. He hesitated. The office had cameras. But then again, that was exactly why he should say yes. Valerie would be watching the feeds. She needed to see normal life continuing. Of course. But be very gentle with them. Some are old and special. I will be super careful. I promise. She skipped off and Brandon felt a pang of guilt. This innocent child was unknowingly part of a surveillance game. He hated that she was involved at all. Gerald and Ben had left before Patricia arrived, taking all their equipment with them. Officer Kim was coming later, posing as a friend dropping by. The plan was set. Now Brandon just had to play his part. At noon, Patricia made lunch. Sandwiches with fresh vegetables and homemade lemonade. They sat in the kitchen, sunlight streaming through the windows. Nia chattered about her school, about her best friend Taylor, about the upcoming science fair. What is your project going to be? Brandon asked, grateful for the distraction of normal conversation. I want to do something about cameras, Nia said innocently. How they work and stuff. Patricia laughed. Where did that idea come from? Nia shrugged, but her eyes flicked to Brandon. I just think they are interesting. That sounds like a great project, Brandon said carefully. Cameras are very important technology. Can you help me with it? Nia asked. You know about technology. I would be happy to help. We can work on it together. Patricia smiled at him, gratitude shining in her eyes. You are so kind to her, Mr. Cole. You do not have to do that. Please call me Brandon. And I want to help. Nia is a smart girl. She should pursue her interests. Mama, can I go play in the garden? Nia asked, finishing her sandwich. Yes, but stay where I can see you from the window. After Nia left, Patricia began cleaning up. Brandon helped, handing her dishes. You really do not have to do that, Patricia said softly. This is my job. I know, but I like helping. He paused, choosing his words carefully. Patricia, I want you to know that you and Nia are safe here. If anything ever worried you, anything at all, you can come to me. She looked at him, confusion and something else in her eyes. Is everything all right? You seem tense. Just work stress, he lied smoothly. Big contract negotiations. Nothing for you to worry about. If you need anything, just let me know. I make a mean chicken soup that cures all kinds of stress. He laughed, the first genuine laugh he had managed since yesterday. I might take you up on that. At 2 o'clock, Officer Rachel Kim arrived. She was 40, with sharp intelligent eyes and an easy smile. She wore casual clothes, jeans and a bright maroon sweater, looking every bit like a friend stopping by. Rachel, good to see you, Brandon said, shaking her hand. Brandon. Gerald filled me in. This is quite a situation. They moved to the study, a room without cameras according to Ben's sweep. Patricia was upstairs changing bedsheets. Nia was still in the garden. Tell me everything from the beginning, Rachel said, pulling out a small notebook. Brandon recounted the story from Nia's discovery to Ben's findings. Rachel listened without interrupting, her face grave. 12 cameras, she said finally. That is serious surveillance. Someone spent significant money on this. The equipment Ben described is not cheap. Can you find out who hired the PI firm? I can try, but it will take time. These firms protect client confidentiality. We need probable cause for a warrant, which means we need to catch them in the act of something illegal. Selling my business secrets is illegal. Yes, but we need proof that your secrets were sold and proof that the cameras were used for that purpose. Right now, all we have is cameras in a private home. Invasive, yes. But we need the full chain of evidence. How long will that take? Could be days, could be weeks. You need to be patient. Brandon rubbed his face, exhaustion catching up with him. I am supposed to marry this woman in 3 months. I have to pretend I am in love while knowing she is spying on me. Rachel's expression softened. I know it is hard. But if you want justice, you have to play along. Can you do that? He thought of his company, the thousands of employees depending on him. He thought of the innovations they were developing, the good they could do in the world. If Valerie had been stealing secrets, she had not just betrayed him personally. She had endangered everything he had built. Yes, he said firmly. I can do that. Good. I will work with Ben to trace the money. Gerald will prepare the legal framework. You just live your life. Let her think she is getting away with it. That evening, Valerie arrived at 6 o'clock. She was stunning as always, her blonde hair perfect, her white dress elegant. She kissed Brandon's cheek, her perfume expensive and cloying. Darling, I have been thinking about flowers all day. I found the most amazing florist. Brandon smiled, the expression feeling like plastic on his face. Tell me about it. They sat in the living room, the same room where hidden cameras recorded their every word. Valerie pulled out her phone, showing him pictures of elaborate arrangements. White roses, lilies, orchids. Everything white and pristine. What do you think? She asked, her blue eyes wide. Beautiful. Whatever you want. She beamed. You are so easy. Most grooms have opinions. I just want you to be happy. The words tasted like ash in his mouth. But Valerie did not notice. She was too busy scrolling through more pictures, planning a wedding that would never happen. From the kitchen, Brandon could hear Patricia and Nia preparing to leave for the day. He wanted to call out to them, to anchor himself with their genuine warmth. But he could not. He had to sit here with this woman who had violated his trust in the worst possible way. Are you okay? Valerie asked, touching his arm. You seem distant. Just tired? Work has been intense. Maybe you should take a break. We could go away for the weekend. Just the two of us. The thought of being alone with her made his skin crawl. But he smiled. That sounds nice. Let me check my calendar. After Valerie left, Patricia and Nia came to say goodbye. Nia hugged his leg quickly. See you tomorrow, Mr. B, she whispered. Mr. B. The nickname made him smile despite everything. See you tomorrow, little one. Patricia lingered at the door. Are you sure you are okay? You look worn out. I am fine. Just a long day. Thank you for everything. Anytime. That is what I am here for. After they left, Brandon locked the door and leaned against it. The house felt empty and cold despite its size and luxury. He thought of Patricia's words. That is what I am here for. But she was wrong. She was not just there to clean and cook. She and Nia had become something more. They had become a reminder of what real goodness looked like. They had become his anchor in a world that suddenly felt full of lies. Whatever happened next, Brandon knew he had to protect them. And he had to expose the truth no matter how much it hurt. Brandon woke to his alarm after a restless night. Dreams of cameras and watching eyes had plagued his sleep. He showered and dressed in a bright green polo shirt, trying to project normalcy he did not feel. Today would be another day of pretending, another day of lies. His phone buzzed with a text from Ben. Made progress. Need to meet tonight after everyone leaves. Good. Progress meant they were closer to the truth. Closer to ending this nightmare. Patricia arrived at her usual time, this time without Nia, who was back in school. She moved through the house with her quiet efficiency, humming a song Brandon did not recognize. He made coffee and brought her a cup, something he had started doing this week. You do not have to do that, Patricia said, accepting the cup with a warm smile. But thank you. How is Nia doing with her camera project? Oh, she talks about it constantly. She has been researching online, watching videos. That girl is determined. She is a special kid. You have done a wonderful job raising her. Patricia's eyes grew misty. Thank you. It has not been easy, but she makes it worth it. Every single day. The genuine love in her voice struck Brandon. This was what real relationship looked like. Not the performance Valerie put on, but simple, honest love. His phone rang. Valerie's name flashed on the screen. Excuse me, he said to Patricia, stepping into the hallway. Hello, beautiful. Brandon, I need to talk to you about something. Valerie's voice sounded strained. His pulse quickened. Had she noticed something? What is it? The caterer I wanted is booked for our wedding date. Can we push it back 2 weeks? Relief flooded through him. Just wedding planning. Whatever you think is best. You're sure? I know we wanted September 10th. September 24th works fine. 2 weeks will not make a difference. 2 weeks that would hopefully give him time to gather enough evidence to cancel the wedding entirely. Perfect. I will call them today. Love you. Love you too. The lie came easier each time. That worried him. After hanging up, Brandon stood in the hallway staring at his phone. What kind of person could spy on someone and then plan a wedding with them? What kind of heart could be that cold? Everything okay? Patricia appeared at the end of the hall, concern on her face. Yes, just wedding stuff. Valerie wants to change the date. Are you happy? I mean, about the wedding? The question caught him off guard. Why would you ask that? She hesitated. I'm sorry. It is not my place. You do not seem happy when you talk about it. Brandon met her eyes. Here was honesty, direct and caring. He wanted so badly to tell her everything. But he could not. Not yet. I have a lot on my mind, he said finally. But thank you for caring enough to ask. She nodded, seeming to understand he could not say more. Well, if you ever need someone to listen, I am a pretty good listener. My sister Rose always says I should have been a therapist. I might take you up on that. When this is all over. When what is all over? He caught himself. This busy season at work. Big project deadline. She studied him a moment longer, then smiled. Okay. But the offer stands. That afternoon, Brandon had meetings at his office downtown. It felt good to be in his element, surrounded by his team, working on problems that had solutions. Technology made sense. Code could be debugged. Algorithms could be perfected. Human betrayal was Messier. His assistant knocked on his door. Mr. Cole, Valerie is here to see you. Brandon's stomach dropped. Valerie rarely came to his office. Send her in. Valerie swept into the room, her white pantsuit crisp and professional. Surprise. I brought you lunch. She set a bag from his favorite restaurant on the desk. The gesture would have been sweet if Brandon did not know what she was really doing. Checking up on him. Making sure he was where he said he would be. Thank you. That was thoughtful. I was nearby for a meeting. Thought I would pop in. She perched on the edge of his desk, her hand resting on his shoulder. You have been so stressed lately. I worry about you. Just work. Big contract negotiations. Anything I can help with? You know I am good with marketing strategy. Was she fishing for information? Trying to learn about the contract so she could sell that information too? No, this one is pretty technical. But I appreciate the offer. She kissed his cheek. Well, do not work too hard. I need you healthy for the wedding. After she left, Brandon stared at the lunch bag. He could not eat it. His appetite had vanished. He texted Ben. She showed up at my office unannounced. Is she getting suspicious? Possible. Or just normal relationship check-in. Stay calm. Tonight we will have answers. The rest of the day dragged. Brandon went through the motions, attending meetings, reviewing code, approving budget requests. But his mind was elsewhere. In 3 hours he would know more. Ben had promised answers. He arrived home to find Patricia putting away groceries. She had taken on more responsibilities, cooking meals in addition to cleaning. Brandon had offered her a raise, which she had accepted with gratitude. Another offer not refused, another person who appreciated kindness rather than taking it for granted. "I made a casserole for your dinner," Patricia said. "It just needs to be heated up. Nia helped me make it this morning before school. You did not have to do that." "I wanted to. You have been kind to us." "It is the least I can do." After Patricia left, Brandon heated the casserole. It was delicious, hearty and warm. As he ate, he realized this simple meal meant more to him than any expensive restaurant dinner with Valerie ever had. This was made with care. With real affection. At 8 o'clock, Ben and Gerald arrived with Officer Rachel Kim. They gathered in the study, the one camera-free room in the house. "We have got her," Ben said, opening his laptop. "I traced the payments to Sentinel Solutions. They come from an account under Valerie's name." "That is not all," Rachel added. "I got a warrant for Sentinel's records based on suspicion of corporate espionage. They have been sending Valerie detailed reports on your business activities for 6 months. She has been selling that information to 3 different competitors." Brandon felt sick. "How much damage has she done?" "We are still calculating that," Gerald said. "But we are talking millions in lost competitive advantage. Maybe tens of millions." "We have enough to arrest her," Rachel continued. "But I want to wait. If we move too soon, we might not get the full network. Who else is involved? Who is buying the information? We need to know the whole picture." "How long?" Brandon asked. "A few more days. Maybe a week. Can you handle that?" Brandon thought about the casserole in his kitchen, about Nia's bright smile, about Patricia's honest concern. He thought about his employees, the thousands of people depending on him to make the right choices. "Yes, I can handle it." "Good," Gerald said. "Because we are close. Really close. And when we take her down, we will make sure she never does this to anyone else." The next morning, Brandon found Nia waiting for him in the kitchen. Patricia was upstairs, so the girl felt free to speak. "Did you find more cameras?" she whispered. "Yes, a lot more. But we are handling it. You do not need to worry." "Is it the pretty lady? Your girlfriend?" Brandon knelt down. "Why would you think that?" "Because she always watches you funny. Like she is studying you. I do not like her." Children's instincts were amazing. Nia had sensed something wrong before any adult had. "You are very smart, Nia. But I need you to promise me something. Do not tell your mama about any of this yet. When the time is right, I will explain everything." "Okay. Okay, Mr. B. I promise." He hugged her quickly. "Thank you for being brave." For the next several days, Brandon played the perfect fiancé. He attended a cake tasting with Valerie, sampled 5 different flavors, and pretended to care about frosting texture. He looked at venues with her, nodding at elegant ballrooms and garden terraces. He discussed invitation designs and guest lists. All the while, Ben and Rachel worked behind the scenes. They traced money transfers. They identified the companies buying Brandon's stolen secrets. They built a case so solid that Valerie would have no defense. One evening, as Patricia was leaving, she paused at the door. "Brandon, can I ask you something personal?" "Of course." "Do you love her? Valerie?" The question hung in the air. Brandon could have lied. Should have lied to maintain the cover story. But looking into Patricia's honest eyes, he could not. "I thought I did. But I am learning that love is more than attraction and chemistry. Real love is built on trust and honesty. And I am not sure I have that." Patricia nodded slowly. "My husband used to say that love without trust is just a pretty house with no foundation. Eventually it falls down." He was a wise man. He was. I miss him every day. But I am grateful for the time we had. Because it was real. After she left, Brandon thought about her words. Real love. That was what he wanted. What he deserved. And he was not going to settle for anything less. The week crawled by. Brandon's performance never wavered. But inside he was counting down the hours until he could stop lying. Until he could confront Valerie with the truth. On Friday evening, Rachel called. "We are ready. Tomorrow afternoon we make the arrest. Be at your house at 3 o'clock. Have Valerie there. Tell her you want to discuss honeymoon plans." "Tomorrow?" Brandon breathed. Finally. Justice takes time, but it is worth the wait. Get some rest tonight. Tomorrow is going to be intense. Brandon stood at his window looking out at the city lights. Tomorrow his life would change again. The lies would end. The truth would come out. And then, maybe he could start building something real. Something that would last. Saturday morning dawned bright and clear. Brandon dressed carefully in a bright blue button-down shirt, wanting to look composed and strong. Today was the day. After a week of lies and pretending, the truth would finally surface. Patricia arrived with Nia, both smiling and cheerful. It broke Brandon's heart a little. They had no idea what was about to happen in this house. "Good morning," Patricia said, carrying cleaning supplies. "Nia has a soccer game at noon, so we will be leaving a bit early today. Is that okay?" "Actually, Patricia, I have a favor to ask. Could you and Nia leave by 11? I have an important meeting this afternoon and need the house quiet." "Of course. No problem at all." Nia tugged at his sleeve when Patricia went to the next room. "Is today the day? Are you going to catch the bad person?" "Yes," Brandon whispered. "Today we catch the bad person. But I need you and your mama far away when it happens. Stay safe, okay?" She nodded solemnly. "I will. You be safe too, Mr. B." The morning passed in a strange blur. Patricia cleaned, humming her usual songs. Nia helped where she could, her beaded braids clicking softly. They had no idea they were part of a much larger story, that their presence in Brandon's life had set off a chain of events that would end today. At 11 o'clock sharp, Patricia gathered their things. "We will see you Monday? Actually, take Monday off. But you deserve a long weekend." Patricia's eyes widened. "Are you sure?" "I do not mind working." "I am sure. Spend time with Nia. Enjoy yourselves." She hugged him impulsively, surprising both of them. "Thank you. You really are a good man, Brandon Cole." After they left, Brandon paced the house. Gerald arrived at 1 o'clock, looking sharp in his lawyer's suit. Ben came next, carrying his laptop. Finally, at 2:30, Officer Rachel Kim arrived with 2 other officers in plain clothes. "Valerie will be here at 3, Brandon said, checking his watch for the 5th time. "We are ready," Rachel assured him. "When she arrives, act normal. Offer her a drink. Sit down to look at honeymoon brochures. We will be in the next room listening. When I give the signal, we come in." "What is the signal?" "You say the phrase, 'I think we should be honest with each other.' Can you remember that?" "I think we should be honest with each other. Yes, I can remember." At exactly 3 o'clock, Valerie's car pulled into the driveway. Brandon watched her step out, perfect as always in a white sundress. She looked innocent, beautiful, completely unaware of what was waiting inside. He opened the door before she could ring the bell. "Hello, beautiful." "Hi, darling." She kissed him, her lips cool against his. "I brought brochures for Bali, Maldives, and Greece. We need to decide soon so we can book flights." They settled on the couch, the hidden camera still recording. Valerie spread brochures across the coffee table, pointing at beaches and resorts. Brandon nodded along, his heart pounding so hard he was sure she could hear it. "What do you think about the Maldives?" Valerie asked. 2 weeks of paradise. Sounds perfect. Brandon took a breath. This was it. "But first, Valerie, I think we should be honest with each other." The room erupted with movement. Rachel and the other officers emerged from the dining room. Gerald stood from where he had been waiting in the hallway. Ben appeared with his laptop, ready to present evidence. Valerie jumped to her feet, confusion and fear flashing across her face. "What is going on?" "Brandon, who are these people?" "Officer Rachel Kim, Tech Crimes Unit," Rachel said, showing her badge. "Valerie Winters, you are under arrest for corporate espionage, wire fraud, and invasion of privacy." "What? This is insane." "Brandon, tell them they are wrong." Brandon stood, his face hard. "I know about the cameras, Valerie. All 12 of them. I know about Sentinel Solutions. I know you have been selling my company's secrets for 6 months. The color drained from her face. I do not know what you are talking about." Ben turned his laptop around, showing transaction records, email communications, surveillance footage. "We have everything. Every payment you received. Every report Sentinel sent you. Every email you sent to competitors. You are done." Valerie's perfect composure cracked. She sank back onto the couch, her hands shaking. "I can explain." "Please do," Gerald said, his voice cold. "Because from where we stand, you planted surveillance equipment in my client's home, violated his privacy, stole confidential business information, and sold it to his competitors. That is multiple felonies." "It was not supposed to be like this," Valerie whispered. "I was hired to get close to him, to learn about his company. But then the wedding, the life, it got too real." "Who hired you?" Rachel demanded. Valerie looked up, tears streaming down her face. Tears that might have moved Brandon a week ago. Now they just made him angry. "Malcolm Peters. He runs Data Core Systems. He wanted to know what Brandon's company was working on. He paid me $50,000 to get close, Another 100,000 for every piece of useful information. Malcolm Peters. One of Brandon's biggest competitors. The man who had been underbidding him on contracts for months. Now it all made sense. So this whole thing, our entire relationship, was a lie? Brandon's voice was steady, but inside he felt hollow. Valerie met his eyes. At first, yes. But somewhere along the way, I did develop feelings for you. Real feelings. Not real enough to stop stealing from me. Not real enough to tell the truth. Rachel stepped forward with handcuffs. Valerie Winters, you have the right to remain silent. As Rachel recited the Miranda rights, Valerie kept looking at Brandon as if willing him to intervene to stop this. But he stood silent, watching justice unfold. Brandon, please, Valerie begged as the handcuffs clicked into place. I'm sorry. I never meant to hurt you. But you did. You hurt me, you hurt my company, you hurt every employee who depends on me. And for what? Money? I needed it. I have debts, problems you do not know about. Then you should have asked for help. Not stolen from me. Rachel led Valerie toward the door. The other officers followed. Just before leaving, Valerie turned back one more time. I did love you. That part was real. Love is not real if it comes with lies, Brandon said quietly. After they left, the house fell silent. Gerald placed a hand on Brandon's shoulder. You okay? I will be. Eventually. Brandon sank onto the couch, the weight of the week crashing down on him. I almost married her, Gerald. I almost built a life with someone who was using me. But you did not. Thanks to a very smart little girl, you found out in time. Ben closed his laptop. We still need to go after Malcolm Peters and the other companies that bought the information. This is not over yet. I know. But today we won. Today the truth came out. After Gerald and Ben left, Brandon walked through his house. The cameras were still there, but they would be removed tomorrow. Evidence had been collected. Now they were just pieces of technology stripped of their power. He thought about Valerie's tears, her claims of real feelings. Maybe she had developed some affection for him. But real love did not come with surveillance. Real love did not betray trust. Real love was what Patricia showed every day, in small acts of kindness and honesty. His phone buzzed. A text from Patricia. I hope your meeting went well. Nia wanted me to tell you she is thinking about you. Brandon smiled, the first genuine smile since the arrest. He typed back. Meeting went very well. Thank you both for thinking of me. See you Tuesday. Another text came. Why Tuesday? I thought I had Monday off. You do. But I am giving you Tuesday off too. You deserve it. Brandon Cole, you are too generous. Just treating you the way you deserve to be treated. He set down his phone and looked around his house. It was big, luxurious, and suddenly very empty. The woman he thought he loved was sitting in a jail cell. His trust had been violated. His privacy invaded. His business threatened. But somehow Brandon did not feel defeated. He felt relieved. The lies were over. The truth was out. And now he could start rebuilding. Not just his business or his home, but his life. A life based on honesty, trust, and real connection. He thought of Nia's bright smile and Patricia's warm eyes. He thought of Gerald's loyal friendship and Ben's technical genius. He thought of Rachel's determination to bring justice. These were real relationships, built on mutual respect and genuine care. This was what mattered. The next morning, Brandon called a company meeting. He stood before his employees, hundreds of people who trusted him to lead them well. I need to tell you something, he began. For the past 6 months, our company has been the target of corporate espionage. Confidential information was stolen and sold to competitors. A murmur ran through the crowd. Faces showed shock, anger, concern. But I am here to tell you that the person responsible has been caught and arrested. We are taking legal action against everyone involved. Your jobs are safe. Our innovations are protected. And we are going to come back from this stronger than ever. The room erupted in applause. People stood, cheering and clapping. Not because the situation was good, but because their leader had been honest with them. He had trusted them with the truth. After the meeting, Brandon's head of security approached him. Sir, we should review all access protocols. Make sure something like this never happens again. Agreed. I also want to start a program to reward employees who notice security issues. If something seems wrong, I want people to feel comfortable speaking up. That is a good idea. We will implement it immediately. As Brandon returned to his office, he thought about Nia. A 7-year-old child had noticed what trained adults had missed. She had trusted her instincts and spoken up, even though she was scared. That kind of courage deserved to be celebrated, rewarded, protected. Brandon pulled out his phone and called his lawyer. Gerald, I want to set up a trust fund for Nia Thompson. For her education. College, graduate school, whatever she wants to pursue. That is very generous. How much? $2 million. Managed properly, it should cover everything she will ever need. Brandon, are you sure? That is a lot of money. I'm sure. That little girl saved my company, my reputation, maybe my life. This is the least I can do. All right. I will draw up the papers. When do you want to tell Patricia? Soon. But not yet. Let me figure out the right way to do it. Over the next few days, Ben worked with the authorities to track down everyone involved in the espionage ring. Malcolm Peters was arrested. 3 other executives who bought information were charged. Sentinel Solutions lost their license and faced massive fines. The story made the news. Brandon gave one interview, keeping the details vague to protect the ongoing investigation. He never mentioned Nia by name. Just said that a concerned observer had brought the situation to his attention. On Tuesday, Patricia returned to work. She immediately noticed the difference. The cameras were gone. The house felt lighter somehow. You seem better, she observed, dusting the living room. More relaxed. I am. That big problem I mentioned? It is solved now. I'm glad. You deserve to be happy. So do you, Patricia. You and Nia both. She paused, looking at him curiously. Why do you care so much about us? We are just your employees. You are more than that. You are good people who walked into my life at exactly the right time. You remind me what really matters. Patricia smiled, but there was something sad in her eyes. You are a good man, Brandon. I hope you find someone who deserves you. What if I already have? The words were out before he could stop them. She froze, the dust cloth still in her hand. What do you mean? Brandon had not planned this. But looking at her, at this woman who had shown him genuine kindness and honesty, he knew he could not hold back anymore. The wedding is off. Valerie was arrested. I can tell you the whole story if you want, but the short version is that she was using me. Spying on me for competitors. Oh, Brandon. I am so sorry. Do not be. I'm not. Because if she had not been caught, I would have married the wrong person. I would have missed the chance to see what real goodness looks like. Patricia set down the dust cloth, her hands shaking slightly. You have been through a trauma. You should not make any big decisions right now. I'm not making a decision. I'm just being honest. You asked me to be honest with you. Yes, but what? You think I could not care about you because you are my housekeeper? Because you have a child? Because we are from different worlds? Yes, all of that. Brandon, you are a billionaire. I am a single mother struggling to pay rent. We do not make sense. Maybe we do not make sense on paper. But my heart does not care about paper. It cares about who makes me feel safe, who shows me real kindness, who reminds me why I wanted to build something good in the first place. Tears filled Patricia's eyes. I care about you too. I have for weeks now. But I thought it was impossible. That I was being foolish. Nothing about caring for someone is foolish. It is the bravest thing we can do. They stood there, the truth hanging between them. Not the kind of truth that destroyed, but the kind that built. The kind that offered hope. What happens now? Patricia whispered. Now. We take it slow. We spend time together, the 3 of us. Me, you, and Nia. We see where this goes. No pressure. No expectations. Just honest connection. I would like that. I think Nia would too. Brandon smiled, feeling lighter than he had in months. Then let's start tonight. Dinner? I will cook. Or attempt to cook. Fair warning, I am terrible at it. Patricia laughed, the sound filling the house with warmth. Then I guess I better supervise. We cannot have you burning down this beautiful house. As she went back to her work, humming a happy tune, Brandon felt something shift inside him. The betrayal still hurt. The violation still stung. But he was not broken. He was not defeated. Because for every person who lies, there is someone who tells the truth. For every person who takes, there is someone who gives. And sometimes, if you are very lucky, that person walks into your life carrying a feather duster and a brave little girl with beaded braids. Sometimes, the worst thing that happens to you leads you straight to the best thing. You just have to be brave enough to see it. The investigation into Malcolm Peters and his network of corporate spies spread wider than anyone expected. Brandon sat in conference rooms for hours, going through records with lawyers and law enforcement. Each discovery revealed another layer of deception, another person who had profited from stealing his work. But through it all, Brandon kept his promise to Patricia. Every evening he set aside the stress and focused on building something new. Something real. Their first dinner together was chaotic and perfect. Brandon attempted to make pasta and nearly set off the smoke alarm. Patricia took over, laughing as she showed him how to properly boil water without creating a disaster. Nia sat on the counter, swinging her legs and telling them about her day at school. Taylor said her big brother got a new video game, Nia announced. But I told her video games are okay but books are better. Was I right, Mr. B? You were very diplomatic, Brandon said, stirring sauce under Patricia's watchful eye. Both can be good. It depends on what you enjoy. I enjoy books about science. And also books about horses. Is that weird? Not at all. Means you have diverse interests. Patricia plated the pasta, adding fresh Parmesan cheese. They sat at the kitchen table, Brandon at one end, Patricia and Nia on either side. It felt natural, comfortable, like they had been doing this for years instead of days. This is really good, Patricia said, tasting the meal. For someone who claimed to be terrible at cooking, you did well. I had a good teacher. Brandon smiled at her across the table. Nia watched them, her bright eyes missing nothing. Are you and Mama friends now? Yes, Brandon said carefully. We are friends. Is that okay with you? It is perfect. You are nice and you make Mama smile. She has not smiled this much in a long time. Patricia's cheeks flushed. Nia, that is private. But it is true. You smile all the time now. Even when you think I am not looking. After dinner they watched a movie together. Some animated film about dragons that Nia had chosen. Brandon sat on one end of the couch, Patricia on the other, and Nia curled between them. Halfway through the movie the little girl fell asleep, her head on her mother's lap. She is exhausted, Patricia whispered, stroking Nia's braids. Soccer practice this morning, then helping me with grocery shopping. She's a great kid. You have done an amazing job with her. Thank you. It has not been easy alone. But she makes it worth it. Brandon watched them, mother and daughter, and felt something warm bloom in his chest. This was what he wanted. Not grand gestures or expensive gifts, but quiet moments of connection. Real love was made of ordinary days that felt extraordinary because of who you shared them with. The next morning Gerald called with an update. Malcolm Peters is cooperating. He is giving up everyone involved in exchange for a reduced sentence. How many people? 7 executives across 4 different companies. They formed a consortium specifically to steal from you. They saw your innovations as a threat to their business model. Brandon felt anger rise but pushed it down. Anger would not help anything. What happens now? Civil suits. You can sue them for damages. We are talking potentially hundreds of millions in compensation. I do not want their money. I want them out of business. We can arrange that too. Between criminal charges and civil penalties, most of these companies will not survive. The market does not forgive corporate espionage. Good. Make sure it is public. I want everyone to know what happens when you steal instead of innovate. Over the next week, the story dominated tech news. Brandon's company was painted as the victim of a massive conspiracy. His competitors were exposed as thieves who could not compete fairly. Several of them issued public apologies, but the damage was done. Their stock prices crashed. Clients left. Employees resigned. Justice was slow but thorough. Through it all, Patricia and Nia became Brandon's constant support. Patricia still worked as his housekeeper, insisting she wanted to maintain her independence. But their relationship had shifted. They spent evenings together, cooking and talking. Weekends included trips to museums, parks, and bookstores. Nia completed her camera project for school. Brandon helped her build a simple camera out of a shoebox and lens. The project won first place in the science fair. Nia beamed as she received her blue ribbon, then ran to hug Brandon and her mother. I could not have done it without you, Mr. B, she said, her arms tight around his waist. You did all the work. I just pointed you in the right direction. That evening, Brandon and Patricia sat on his back patio while Nia played in the garden. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Patricia wore a bright green dress, her hair pulled back, her face relaxed and happy. I need to tell you something, Brandon said. I have been meaning to for a while now. That sounds serious. It is. But it is good serious. He took a breath. When Nia found those cameras, she saved my company. Maybe my life. I want to do something for her. Brandon, you have already done so much. The help with her project, the time you spend with her. I want to set up a trust fund. For her education. $2 million, managed by professionals, available for college, graduate school, whatever she wants to pursue. Patricia's mouth fell open. $2 million. Brandon, that is too much. Way too much. It is not. She deserves it. And I want to do it. Please, Patricia. Let me do this. Tears streamed down Patricia's face. I do not know what to say. Say yes. Say you will accept this gift with gratitude, the way you deserve to accept kindness. Yes, she whispered. Yes, thank you. This changes everything for her. Everything. Brandon pulled her into a hug. She cried against his shoulder, tears of relief and joy and disbelief. He held her, feeling her heart beat against his chest, and knew this was right. This was what his money should be used for. Not impressing people or buying things, but changing lives in real, meaningful ways. When Patricia pulled back, her eyes were red but shining. You are unlike anyone I have ever met. You bring out the best in me. I think you always had this in you. You just needed someone to see it. Maybe we needed each other. She smiled, soft and genuine. Maybe we did. Officer Rachel Kim visited the next day with final updates. The investigation was wrapping up. All suspects were in custody or cooperating. The case against them was solid. You should be proud, Rachel told Brandon as they sat in his study. You handled this perfectly. Stayed calm, gathered evidence, let justice work. I had good help. And good motivation. The housekeeper and her daughter? Gerald mentioned they have been spending a lot of time here. They have become important to me. Rachel smiled. Good. You deserve happiness after what you have been through. Just be careful. Moving from one relationship right into another can be complicated. I'm not rushing. We are taking it slow, building a foundation. The right way this time. That is smart. For what it is worth, I think you are going to be fine. You have got a good head on your shoulders and a good heart. After Rachel left, Brandon found Nia in the library, curled up with a book about space. She looked up when he entered. Hi, Mr. B. I'm learning about black holes. Did you know they bend time? I did. Pretty crazy, right? Super crazy. It makes my brain hurt trying to understand it. He sat down beside her. Nia, I want to thank you again. For being brave and telling me about the camera. You changed my life. Did I really help? More than you know. Because of you, bad people got caught. My company is safe. And I got to meet you and your mama. She grinned, her whole face lighting up. Mama really likes you. She talks about you all the time. What does she say? That you are kind and smart and make her feel safe. She says she has not felt safe in a long time. Brandon's throat tightened. I want to keep her safe. Both of you. Always. Are you going to marry her? The question caught him off guard. Would you want that? If I did. Nia considered this seriously. Yes, I think so. You are nice and you do not yell and you listen when I talk. Plus you help with homework and you make mama smile. So yes, I would want that. Well, we have to go slow. Make sure it is right for everyone. But I am glad to know you would be okay with it. Can I call you Dad if you marry Mama? The simple question broke something open in Brandon's chest. If that day comes, I would be honored if you called me Dad. She hugged him tight, her small arms fierce with love. Okay. But I might practice sometimes just to see how it sounds. Brandon held her, this brave little girl who had changed everything. You practice all you want. That night, as Brandon lay in bed, he thought about the journey of the past few weeks. He had been betrayed, violated, and nearly ruined. But through it all, he had found something precious. Real connection. Honest love. A future worth building. The legal battles would continue for months. The media attention would fade. The company would rebuild. But none of that mattered as much as the little girl practicing calling him Dad and the woman who made him believe in love again. Sometimes the worst betrayal leads you to the best discovery. You just have to be brave enough to see past the pain to the possibility waiting on the other side. Would you have had the courage to trust again after such a betrayal? How do you think Brandon should navigate this new relationship while still healing from the old one? Drop your thoughts in the comments and do not forget to subscribe to see how this story of deception, courage, and second chances continues to unfold. The next morning brought new headlines. Tech billionaire's former fiancé sentenced to 5 years. Valerie's trial had been swift. The evidence was overwhelming. She had pled guilty to avoid a longer sentence. Malcolm Peters and his co-conspirators faced similar fates. Brandon read the news article once, then closed his laptop. That chapter of his life was over. He felt no satisfaction in Valerie's punishment, no joy in Malcolm's downfall. He just felt free. Morning, Patricia said, entering the kitchen with grocery bags. I picked up ingredients for breakfast. Thought we could make pancakes with Nia when she gets here. Sounds perfect. Brandon took the bags from her, setting them on the counter. Did you see the news? I did. How are you feeling about it? Relieved. It is finally done. She touched his arm gently. Are you really okay? Watching someone you cared about go to prison cannot be easy. I do not think I ever really knew her. I cared about who I thought she was. But that person was not real. Still, it must hurt. He covered her hand with his. It did hurt. But having you here helps. You and Nia remind me what good looks like. The doorbell rang. Nia burst through when Brandon opened it, wearing a bright red jacket and a huge smile. Good morning. Mama said we are making pancakes. We are. Come on, chef. You can help mix the batter. They worked together in the kitchen making a delicious mess. Flour dusted the counters. Nia got eggshells in the batter, which Patricia patiently fished out. Brandon flipped pancakes with varying degrees of success, some perfect golden brown, others slightly burned. These are the best pancakes ever, Nia declared, drowning hers in syrup. Even the burned ones? Brandon teased. Especially the burned ones. They are crispy. After breakfast, Brandon's phone rang. Gerald's name flashed on the screen. Excuse me, Brandon said, stepping into his office. Morning, Brandon. I have good news. The civil suits have been settled. The companies involved have agreed to pay damages totaling $320 million. Brandon whistled low. That much. Your losses were substantial. And they wanted to avoid drawn-out court battles. The money will be transferred to your accounts within 30 days. What about Sentinel Solutions? Bankrupt. They will never operate again. The owner is facing criminal charges for his role in the conspiracy. Good. What about the people who bought the information? The ones downstream. Most are being prosecuted separately. A few have fled the country, but international warrants are out. They will be caught eventually. After the call, Brandon sat in his office staring out the window. $320 million. More money than he needed. More than he could spend in a lifetime. But what was it worth really? It would not undo the betrayal. Would not erase the violation. Would not restore the months of his life wasted on lies. What mattered was the laughter coming from his kitchen. Patricia and Nia singing some silly song while cleaning up. That was real wealth. That was what he almost lost by focusing on the wrong things. He returned to the kitchen. I need to tell you both something. They stopped cleaning, turning to face him. Patricia looked worried. What is it? The lawsuit's settled. The companies are paying damages. A lot of money? How much? Patricia asked. Over $300 million. She gasped. Brandon, that is... I cannot even imagine. I know. And I have been thinking about what to do with it. I want to give most of it away. What? Why? Because I do not need it. I already have enough. More than enough. But there are people who could use that money to change their lives. Kids who need education. Families who need help. Communities that need investment. Nia bounced on her toes. You are going to be like a superhero. But with money instead of powers. Brandon laughed. Something like that. But first, there are some people I need to take care of. People who stood by me. Over the next week, Brandon met with financial advisors and lawyers. He set up scholarships for deserving students, grants for small businesses, and funding for community programs. He gave generous bonuses to every employee at his company, rewarding their loyalty during the crisis. And he made a quiet donation to Patricia's church, enough to repair their aging building and fund their youth programs for years to come. When Patricia found out, she was speechless. You did not have to do that. I wanted to. Your church helped you when you needed it. They supported you when your husband died. They deserve support back. Reverend Johnson cried when he heard. He said it was an answer to years of prayers. Then I am glad I could be part of that answer. One evening, as they sat together on the patio, Patricia turned to him with serious eyes. Can I ask you something? Anything. Why me? I do not mean that in a self-pitying way. I'm just curious. You could have anyone. Why choose a single mother working as a housekeeper? Brandon considered his answer carefully. Because you are real. Because you show up every day and do your best. Because you raised an incredible daughter despite all the challenges. Because you are kind without expecting anything in return. Because you make me want to be better. Those are good reasons. And because I love you. I know it is fast. I know we are still figuring this out. But I do. I love you. Tears filled her eyes. I love you too. I have for weeks now. I just was not sure if I was allowed to say it. You are always allowed to say what you feel with me. Always. They kissed as the sun set behind them, the world painted in gold and pink. It was not dramatic or overwhelming. It was gentle, certain, right? like coming home after a long journey. Inside, Nia watched from the window, a huge smile on her face. Her mama was happy. Mr. B was happy. And soon, maybe they would be a real family. The next day brought an unexpected visitor. Ben Carter arrived looking excited. I have something to show you. He set up his laptop in Brandon's study, pulling up security footage. Remember how I set up that counter-surveillance? I have been monitoring the dark web, looking for any remaining traces of your stolen data. Did you find something? Better. I found who was planning to buy more information if the spying had continued. And you will not believe who it was. The video showed a meeting between Malcolm Peters and another man. Brandon recognized him immediately. Senator Richard Dawson, a politician known for his aggressive business policies and connections to tech companies. The senator was involved? Not directly. But he was funneling information to friendly companies in exchange for campaign contributions. Your data was going to be used to influence legislation. They wanted to know your moves so they could block any policies that would hurt their interests. Brandon felt sick. The conspiracy had been even wider than he thought. What do we do with this? We give it to Rachel. She will know how to handle it. This could bring down some very powerful people. And it did. Over the following weeks, the investigation expanded to include Senator Dawson and 3 other politicians. The scandal dominated national news. Careers ended. Companies collapsed. The tech industry was forced to confront its culture of theft and corruption. Brandon gave one more interview, this time on national television. The interviewer was professional but curious. Mr. Cole, you have been through an ordeal that would destroy most people. How are you moving forward? By focusing on what matters. My company, my employees, and the people I love. The betrayal hurt, but it also showed me who my real friends are. Who I can trust. And that knowledge is worth more than any amount of money. There are rumors about a new relationship. Can you comment? Brandon smiled. I can say that I have met someone who reminds me what real love looks like. Someone who values honesty and kindness above everything else. Someone who makes me want to be the best version of myself. That sounds serious. It is. And I am grateful for it every single day. After the interview, Patricia called him. I saw you on TV. Was that about me? Every word. Brandon Cole, you are going to make me cry on my shift at work. Good tears, I hope. The best tears. That weekend, Brandon, Patricia, and Nia went to the beach. They built sandcastles and collected shells. Nia ran through the waves, shrieking with laughter. Patricia and Brandon walked along the shore, hand in hand. This is perfect, Patricia said, watching Nia play. Thank you for giving us days like this. Thank you for teaching me what days like this mean. You know people are going to talk. About us. About our different backgrounds. Let them talk. I know what I feel. And I know what I want. What do you want? He stopped walking, turning to face her. The ocean breeze caught her hair, the setting sun made her skin glow. She had never looked more beautiful. I want to build a life with you. With Nia. I want to wake up every morning knowing I get to see your smile. I want to help Nia with her homework and teach her about the world. I want to grow old with you, going to parks and museums and beaches. I want simple, honest, real love. And I want it with you. Patricia's hands trembled as she touched his face. That is what I want too. More than anything. Then let's make it happen. No rush, no pressure. But let's start building toward that future. Together. Together, she agreed. Nia ran up to them, her arms full of shells. Look what I found. This one is shaped like a heart. She held up a perfect heart-shaped shell, smooth and white. That is beautiful, Brandon said, taking it gently. Can I keep this? Why? Because it reminds me of this day. This perfect day with you and your mama. Nia grinned. Okay. But you have to keep it forever. Forever. I promise. As they walked back to the car, Brandon felt something settle in his chest. Peace. Real deep peace. The kind that comes from knowing you are exactly where you are supposed to be, with exactly the people you are supposed to be with. The betrayal had hurt. The violation had scarred. But through it all, he had found something more valuable than money or success. He had found people worth fighting for. Worth building for. Worth living for. And that made everything worth it. 3 months had passed since Valerie's arrest. Summer had turned to fall, painting the trees in shades of red and gold. Brandon's company had not only recovered but grown stronger. New contracts came in. Investors returned. The scandal had actually boosted their reputation as a company that stood for integrity and justice. But the real changes were happening at home. Patricia no longer worked as Brandon's housekeeper. Instead, she had enrolled in online classes for interior design, something she had always dreamed of pursuing. Brandon covered the tuition, insisting it was an investment in her future. She studied at night after Nia went to bed, filling notebooks with sketches and ideas. "Look at this color scheme," she said one evening, showing Brandon her latest project. "What do you think? I think you have real talent. These are beautiful. You are biased because you love me. I am biased and you have real talent. Both things can be true." Nia was thriving in her new private school. The education was challenging but rewarding. She had made friends with kids who shared her love of science and learning. Her teachers sent regular updates praising her curiosity and dedication. One Saturday, Brandon, Patricia, and Nia visited Patricia's sister, Aunt Rose. She lived in a cozy house across town, the yard filled with flowers she tended meticulously. Rose was 62, with silver hair and a sharp wit that reminded Brandon of Gerald. "So this is the famous Brandon Cole," Rose said, looking him up and down as they stood on her porch. "The man who has stolen my sister's heart." "Aunt Rose, please," Patricia said, her cheeks flushing. "I'm just making sure he is worthy. Come in, come in. I made sweet tea." They sat in Rose's living room, surrounded by family photos and handmade quilts. Rose served tea in delicate cups, watching Brandon with assessing eyes. "Patricia tells me you have been very generous," Rose said. "The trust fund for Nia. The support for her education. Nia deserves it. She is an exceptional child." "She is. But that does not explain why you care so much. Rich men do not usually fall for single mothers who clean houses." "Aunt Rose," Patricia protested. But Brandon held up a hand. "No, she is right to question my intentions. Your family matters to you, Rose. You want to protect them. I respect that. So answer the question. Why my sister? Why my niece? Because they remind me what good looks like. Because Patricia is the strongest, kindest person I have ever met. Because Nia is brave and smart and sees the world with clear eyes. Because being around them makes me want to be better. And because I love them. Simple as that." Rose studied him for a long moment. Then she nodded. "Good answer. You pass." Nia giggled. "Does that mean he can stay, Aunt Rose?" "It means he can stay. But I am watching you, Brandon Cole. You hurt my sister or my niece, you will answer to me. I would expect nothing less." The visit ended with Rose hugging Brandon tightly. "Welcome to the family," she whispered. "Take care of them. With everything I have. I promise." On the drive home, Patricia was quiet. Brandon glanced at her. "What are you thinking?" "That went better than I expected. Rose can be tough. She loves you. She wants to make sure I am worthy. Are you? Worthy of us?" He pulled the car over to the side of the road, turning to face her. "I do not know if anyone is truly worthy of love. We are all just people doing our best. But I promise you this. I will spend every day trying to be worthy. I will show up. I will be honest. I will love you and Nia with everything I have. That is all I need to hear." He kissed her softly. In the back seat, Nia made a gagging sound. "Gross. You two kiss too much." "Get used to it, little one," Brandon said, grinning. "There is going to be a lot more kissing." The next week, Brandon hosted a dinner party. Gerald came with his wife Margaret. Ben brought his new girlfriend, a software engineer named Amy. Officer Rachel Kim came alone but happy. And of course, Patricia, Nia, and Aunt Rose were there. They gathered around Brandon's dining table, now filled with warmth and laughter instead of the lonely silence that had filled it before. Patricia had cooked, with Nia's help, creating a feast of roasted chicken, vegetables, and homemade rolls. "This is incredible," Gerald said, taking a second helping. "Patricia, you are a culinary artist." Nia helped. She has become quite the cook herself. "I made the rolls," Nia announced proudly. "Mr. B taught me how to knead the dough." "You two are quite the team," Margaret observed with a knowing smile. After dinner, while the adults talked over coffee, Nia pulled Brandon aside. "Can I ask you something private?" "Of course. Let's go to the library." In the quiet of the book-lined room, Nia climbed into the big leather chair. "Are you going to ask Mama to marry you?" Brandon sat on the ottoman, meeting her eyes. "I'm thinking about it, but I wanted to talk to you first. How would you feel about that?" "I would feel happy, but also scared." "Scared of what?" "That it might change things. That you might not want me around as much if you married Mama." Brandon's heart broke a little. He knelt down, taking her small hands in his. "Nia, listen to me very carefully. If I marry your Mama, it is because I want to be part of your family. All of it. That means you too. You will always be wanted. Always be loved. Always be important to me. Promise? I promise. In fact, if I do ask your mama to marry me, I want to ask you something too. What? If you would like to be my daughter. Officially. I could adopt you if you wanted. You would be Nia Cole. Her eyes went wide. Really? I could have your name? If you wanted to. You do not have to. You can keep Thompson. Or you could be Nia Thompson Cole, both names. Whatever feels right to you. She launched herself at him, hugging him so hard he almost fell over. Yes. Yes, I want that. I want to be your daughter. He held her, this brave little girl who had changed his life. Then that is what we will do. When the time is right. They returned to the party, Nia glowing with excitement. Patricia caught Brandon's eye, questioning. He nodded slightly. Later he would tell her about the conversation. But for now he just enjoyed the moment. His house, once empty and cold, was full of laughter and love. This was what home was supposed to feel like. As the evening ended and guests departed, Patricia stayed behind to help clean up. Nia had fallen asleep on the couch, exhausted from excitement. She told me what you asked her, Patricia said quietly, wiping down the counter. About adoption. I hope that was okay. I should have talked to you first. No, it was perfect. She has been wanting a father figure for so long. And you have been that for her. I love her, Patricia. As much as if she were my biological child. I know you do. I see it every day. The way you help with homework. The way you celebrate her victories. The way you comfort her fears. You are already her father in every way that matters. When I was engaged to Valerie, I thought about having kids someday. But it was abstract, distant. With Nia, it is real. Present. I cannot imagine my life without her now. Patricia set down the dish towel and came to him. You have given us so much. A home, security, hope for the future. But more than that, you have given us love. Real, honest, generous love. You gave me that first. You and Nia showed me what I was missing. What I should have been looking for all along. So what happens now? Brandon pulled a small box from his pocket. He had been carrying it for a week, waiting for the right moment. Now I ask you a question. Patricia's breath caught as he opened the box, revealing a simple but beautiful ring. A sapphire surrounded by small diamonds, set in platinum. Patricia Thompson, you walked into my life when I needed you most. You showed me what real love looks like. What family means. What home feels like. I want to spend the rest of my life making you as happy as you have made me. Will you marry me? Tears streamed down her face. Yes. Yes, absolutely yes. He slipped the ring onto her finger, then kissed her as years of loneliness and doubt melted away. This was right. This was real. This was forever. From the couch, a small voice said, finally. I thought you would never ask. They turned to see Nia sitting up, grinning widely. How long have you been awake? Long enough. So when is the wedding? Can I be the flower girl? Can I wear a really pretty dress? They laughed, pulling her into their hug. A moment ago it had been 2 people. Now it was 3. A family formed not by obligation or biology, but by choice and love. Yes, you can be the flower girl, Brandon said. And you can wear the prettiest dress we can find. In red? I want a red dress. Red it is. Later, after Patricia and Nia had gone home, Brandon stood on his patio looking at the stars. 6 months ago, he had been engaged to a woman who was stealing from him. He had thought his life was on track, moving toward success and happiness. But he had been wrong. That life would have been built on lies. It would have crumbled eventually, leaving him empty and bitter. Instead, a child's observation had saved him. A little girl's courage had exposed the truth. And in the aftermath, he had found something worth more than all his money and success combined. He had found a family. As he turned to go inside, Brandon caught sight of his reflection in the glass door. He looked different than he had 6 months ago. Not just older but at peace. Content. Oh, this was what winning looked like. Not conquering enemies or accumulating wealth, but finding people to love who loved you back. Building a life based on truth and trust. Creating a home filled with laughter instead of lies. The betrayal still hurt sometimes. But it had led him here, to this moment, to this life. And he would not change that for anything in the world. Tomorrow he would wake up engaged to an incredible woman. He would have a daughter, smart and brave and full of potential. He would have a family real and true and worth fighting for. Tomorrow the real happily ever after would begin. The engagement announcement made the news, though Brandon had kept it quiet. Tech billionaire Brandon Cole engaged to former housekeeper Patricia Thompson. Some outlets framed it as a heartwarming story. Others implied it was somehow scandalous. Brandon did not care about either. What mattered was the life they were building together. Patricia moved into Brandon's home a month after the engagement. Nia got her own room, decorated in her favorite colors of red and purple. She had a big bed, a desk for homework, and shelves for her growing collection of science books. Brandon had hired Patricia's former classmate, a talented interior designer, to help make the space perfect for an 8-year-old girl. "This is the best room ever," Nia declared, jumping on her bed. "I feel like a princess. But a science princess." "A science princess?" Brandon repeated, smiling. "That is a new one." "Well, regular princesses just sit in towers waiting to be rescued. Science princesses study physics and cure diseases and invent stuff." "I like your version better." Patricia's room was connected to Brandon's by a shared bathroom, though they had agreed to take things slow. The physical side of their relationship would wait until marriage. They both wanted to do this right, building a foundation that would last. One evening, as they sat together reviewing Nia's school progress, Brandon's phone rang. It was Gerald. "I have news." Valerie's attorney filed an appeal. Brandon's good mood evaporated. "On what grounds?" "Excessive sentencing. They are arguing that 5 years is too harsh for a first-time offender. She stole millions of dollars worth of information. She violated my privacy in the worst way." "I know. And the appeal will likely fail. But I wanted you to know. There might be a hearing." After hanging up, Brandon sat silently. Patricia touched his arm. "What is wrong?" "Valerie is appealing her sentence. There might be a hearing. They might reduce her time." "How do you feel about that?" He considered the question. "I do not want her to suffer needlessly. But I do not want her getting away with what she did either. 5 years seems fair for the crime." "Will you have to testify again?" "Possibly. Then I will be there with you. We will face it together." Her simple support meant everything. This was what partnership looked like. Not grand gestures, but showing up when things got hard. The hearing was scheduled for 3 weeks later. In the meantime, life continued. Nia's soccer team made the playoffs. Patricia finished her first semester of interior design classes with straight A's. Brandon's company launched a new product that revolutionized data security. The reviews were incredible. On Thanksgiving, they hosted a big dinner. Gerald and Margaret came, as did Ben and Amy, Officer Rachel Kim, and Aunt Rose. Patricia's best friend from church, Monica, joined them with her 2 kids. The house was full of noise and laughter and the smell of roasted turkey. "This is what life should be like," Aunt Rose said, watching everyone talk and eat and enjoy themselves. "Full of people you love." "I agree," Brandon said, raising his glass. "I want to make a toast. A year ago, I thought I knew what success looked like. Money, company growth, social status. But I was wrong. Real success is this. People who care about you. People you care about. Love, laughter, connection. Thank you all for being part of my life. Thank you for showing me what truly matters." "To what truly matters?" everyone echoed, clinking glasses. Nia stood up on her chair. "I want to make a toast too. To Mr. B, who is going to be my dad soon. Thank you for loving Mama and me. We love you too." Brandon had to blink back tears. "Thank you, sweetheart. I love you both more than words can say." After dinner, while the adults cleaned up, the kids played in the living room. Brandon found himself standing at the sink next to Gerald, washing dishes. "You have come a long way," Gerald observed. "From that night when you called me about the cameras to now. It is like watching someone transform." "Patricia and Nia transformed me. They showed me what I was missing." "No, Brandon. They did not transform you. They revealed who you already were underneath all the armor and walls you had built. You were always this person. You just needed the right circumstances to show it." "Maybe. Either way, I am grateful. As you should be. But also be proud. You could have become bitter and cynical after what Valerie did. Instead, you opened your heart even wider. That takes real courage." The day of the appeal hearing arrived. Brandon wore a navy blue suit. Patricia wore a simple but elegant green dress. They held hands as they walked into the courthouse, facing the cameras and questions from reporters. Inside, Valerie sat at the defense table looking thin and tired. Prison had not been kind to her. She glanced at Brandon once, her eyes filled with something that might have been regret. He felt nothing. Not anger, not satisfaction, not pity. Just a distant recognition that this person had once been part of his life and now was not. The hearing lasted 2 hours. Valerie's attorney argued that she had been pressured by Malcolm Peters, that she had been in over her head, that 5 years was excessive for someone with no prior record. The prosecutor countered with evidence of her deliberate planning, the massive scale of theft, the violation of trust. The judge listened impassively. Finally she spoke. I have reviewed the appeal and all supporting documents. The original sentence was appropriate given the severity and premeditated nature of the crimes. The appeal is denied. Valerie's shoulders sagged. Her attorney whispered something to her. She nodded weakly. As they filed out of the courtroom, Valerie called out, Brandon, please, can I talk to you? Just for a minute? Brandon looked at Patricia. She squeezed his hand. It is up to you. He approached Valerie, staying several feet away. What do you want to say? I'm sorry. I know that does not mean much now, but I am. I never meant for things to get this bad. But they did get this bad. Because you made choices. You had opportunities to tell the truth and you did not take them. I know. I was weak, greedy, stupid. I wanted you to know that some of what I felt was real. Not all of it was fake. Maybe. But it does not change anything. You hurt me. You hurt my company. You could have destroyed lives. I know. And I will spend the rest of my life regretting it. Brandon looked at her, this woman who had almost been his wife. I hope you get the help you need in prison. I hope you come out better than you went in. But we are done. Do not contact me again. I understand. Be happy, Brandon. You deserve it. As he walked away, Patricia was waiting. She studied his face. Are you okay? I am. That was the closure I needed. Now we can move forward without looking back. That night they had a quiet dinner at home. Just the three of them. Nia chattered about her upcoming science fair project on renewable energy. Patricia showed them sketches for a client's living room redesign. Brandon talked about the new hire he was excited about for the development team. Normal conversation. Normal life. The kind that most people took for granted but that Brandon now treasured. After Nia went to bed, Patricia and Brandon sat on the back patio under the stars. The air was cold but not uncomfortable. They wrapped in a shared blanket, her head on his shoulder. 6 months until the wedding, Patricia said softly. Are you ready? I have been ready since the day I met you. I just did not know it yet. That is sweet. But really, are you ready? For all of it? Marriage, an instant family, a daughter who is going to need you for everything from homework help to advice about boys someday? Boys? She is 8. Patricia laughed. Time goes fast. Before you know it, she will be a teenager. Then college. Then her own life. Then I better make the most of every moment. Starting now. He kissed her, slow and gentle. When they pulled apart, she was smiling. I love you, Brandon Cole. More than I thought possible. I love you too. Both of you. My little family. Our family, she corrected. We are building this together. Yes, together. Exactly how it should be. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the stars and dreaming about the future. A future filled with school plays and business meetings and family dinners. A future built on trust and honesty and real love. The betrayal was far behind them now. The hurt had healed. The scars remained but no longer controlled their lives. They had taken the worst thing that happened and turned it into the best thing. They had found each other in the aftermath of lies and built something true. As they headed inside for the night, Brandon took one last look at his home. Their home now. Filled with light and laughter and love. This was what winning looked like. This was the happy ending worth fighting for. And it was only just beginning. Spring arrived with blooming flowers and warm sunshine. 6 months had passed since Brandon proposed to Patricia. Now it was time for the next step. The wedding was planned for June, a simple ceremony in Brandon's garden with close friends and family. But first, Brandon had a special plan. Something for Nia. On a Saturday morning in April, he took Nia to the park. Just the two of them. Patricia thought they were giving her time to work on a client project. She did not know what Brandon was really planning. They sat on a bench near the pond, watching ducks swim lazy circles. Nia wore a bright red jacket, her braids tied with matching ribbons. Nia, I want to ask you something important, Brandon said, pulling a small box from his pocket. Her eyes widened. Is that a ring? Like you gave Mama? Not exactly. Open it. Inside was a delicate silver necklace with a small charm. A camera and a heart intertwined. It is beautiful, Nia breathed. The camera represents the moment you changed my life. The heart represents how much I love you. Together, they show that sometimes the bravest moments lead to the greatest love. Thank you, Mr. B. I will wear it forever. Wait, there is more I want to say. Brandon knelt in front of her bench, taking her hands. Nia, you know I am going to marry your mama in 2 months. I know. I'm so excited. I already have my flower girl dress. Good. But I want to ask you something too. Nia Thompson, would you like to become my daughter? Officially? I want to adopt you. Make you Nia Cole. If you want that. Tears filled her eyes. You mean it? Really truly mean it? Really truly? I want you to be my daughter in every way. Legally, officially, forever. What do you say? She threw her arms around him, nearly knocking him over. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I want to be your daughter. I want to be Nia Cole. He held her tight, this brave little girl who had saved him without even knowing it. Then that is what we will do. We will start the adoption paperwork this week. By the wedding, you will be my daughter. Can I call you Dad now? Instead of Mr. B? I would love that. But only if you are comfortable with it. She pulled back, her face serious. I remember my first dad. He died when I was 3. I do not remember much, but I remember he was kind. Mama says he would have loved watching me grow up. I bet he would have. Do you think he would be okay with me calling you Dad? I do not want to forget him. Brandon's heart broke at the thoughtfulness. I think he would be happy that you have someone to take care of you and your mama. Having 2 dads who love you does not mean forgetting one. It means you are lucky enough to be loved by both. I like that. Okay, Dad. I am ready. Dad. The word filled Brandon with warmth and responsibility and joy. He was going to be a father. Not just in practice but officially. Legally. Forever. They walked around the park, Nia chattering excitedly about telling her friends, about how her last name would change, about how she would sign her homework as Nia Cole. Brandon listened, smiling at her innocent excitement. When they returned home, Patricia was in the study working on design sketches. She looked up, saw their faces, and knew immediately something had happened. What is going on? Why do you both look like you are about to burst? Nia ran to her. Mama, Dad asked me to be his daughter. He is going to adopt me. I am going to be Nia Cole. Patricia's eyes flew to Brandon's. You asked her? I did. I hope that is okay. She crossed the room and hugged him fiercely. More than okay. Perfect. You are perfect. So you approve? Of course I approve. This is what I have been hoping for. Our little family, official in every way. The next week, they met with a family lawyer that Gerald recommended. The adoption process would be straightforward since Patricia was Nia's only living parent and she consented. Background checks had already been completed during the earlier investigations. By the wedding, the adoption would be final. This is one of the happier cases I have handled, the lawyer said, smiling at them. Most adoptions involve complications. This is just pure love. That is all we want, Brandon said, holding Patricia's hand. To make our family official. As spring bloomed into early summer, the wedding preparations intensified. Patricia worked with a wedding planner to organize the garden ceremony. Nia tried on her flower girl dress a dozen times, twirling in front of mirrors. Brandon finalized the guest list and arranged for catering. Are you nervous? Patricia asked one evening as they reviewed seating charts. Not about marrying you. But about the ceremony itself, yes. All those people watching. It will be small. Just 50 people. Family and close friends. I know. I just want everything to be perfect for you. She touched his cheek. It already is perfect. I'm marrying the man I love. Nia is getting a father. We are becoming a real family. What more could I want? I want to give you everything. The world, the moon, the stars. I already have everything I need. Right here. 2 weeks before the wedding, the adoption was finalized. They stood in family court as the judge signed the papers. Nia wore her favorite red dress and her camera necklace. Brandon wore a maroon suit. Patricia wore blue, her eyes shining with tears. Miss Thompson, the judge said kindly, do you understand that you are about to become Miss Cole? That Brandon Cole will legally be your father? Yes, ma'am. And I am very happy about it. I can see that. Brandon Cole, do you promise to love, protect, and care for Nia as your daughter for the rest of your life? I do. With everything I have. Then by the power vested in me by this court, I declare this adoption final. Congratulations, Cole family. They hugged in the hallway, the 3 of them, a complete unit. Patricia cried happy tears. Nia bounced with excitement. Brandon felt a profound sense of rightness settle into his bones. This was his family. His wife-to-be. His daughter. His people. That night, they celebrated at Nia's favorite restaurant. She ordered chocolate cake for dessert and insisted everyone try a bite. This is the best day ever, she declared. Well, second best. The wedding will be the best. Why will the wedding be better? Brandon asked, amused. Because then Mama will officially be Mrs. Cole too. And we will all have the same last name. Like a real family. We are already a real family, Patricia said gently. The last names do not matter. I know. But it is nice anyway. We match. The days leading up to the wedding flew by. Brandon's house was transformed with flowers and lights. Chairs were set up in the garden. A small platform was built for the ceremony. Everything was coming together beautifully. The night before the wedding, Patricia and Nia stayed at Aunt Rose's house. Tradition dictated that Brandon should not see his bride until the ceremony. He spent the evening with Gerald and Ben, having a quiet bachelor party that consisted of pizza and card games. Tomorrow you become a married man, Gerald said, dealing cards. How does it feel? Like the best decision I have ever made. No doubts? No cold feet. Not even a little. Patricia is everything I want. Everything I need. I cannot wait to spend the rest of my life with her and Nia. Ben raised his soda in a toast. To Brandon. May your marriage be filled with love, laughter, and no more hidden cameras. They all laughed. The nightmare of Valerie seemed like ancient history now. That pain had led to this joy. That betrayal had led to this love. Everything had worked out exactly as it was supposed to. The morning of the wedding dawned bright and clear. Perfect weather. Perfect day. Brandon dressed carefully in his navy blue suit, his hands steady despite his excitement. Gerald acted as his best man, making sure every detail was right. In the garden, guests began to arrive. Margaret helped seat people. Officer Rachel Kim came looking elegant in a green dress. Ben and Amy sat together, holding hands. Aunt Rose arrived early, wanting to supervise everything. And then the music started. First came Nia, walking down the aisle in her red dress, scattering rose petals. She beamed at Brandon as she passed, giving him a tiny wave. He winked at her, making her giggle. Then Patricia appeared at the garden entrance and Brandon's breath caught. She wore a simple but stunning blue gown. Her hair was swept up, her face glowing. She carried white roses mixed with blue hydrangeas. She was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. As she walked toward him, their eyes met and held. Everything else faded away. The guests, the flowers, the ceremony. It was just the two of them, choosing each other, committing to each other, building a life together. She reached the platform and took his hands. They were shaking slightly. Both of them. Nervous and excited and completely certain. The officiant began. We are gathered here today to celebrate the union of Patricia Thompson and Brandon Cole. Their love story is one of courage, trust, and second chances. They have both known loss and pain. But they have also discovered joy and hope in each other. He spoke of partnership, of building a life together, of facing challenges as a team. He spoke of love that was not just feeling but action. Not just words but deeds. Not just promises but daily choices to show up and care and support. Then it was time for vows. Brandon went first. Patricia, the day you walked into my life, everything changed. You showed me what real love looks like. Not grand gestures or expensive gifts, but simple kindness shown every day. You taught me that trust is built slowly and carefully. That family is not just who you are born to, but who you choose and who chooses you back. I promise to love you, honor you, and cherish you for the rest of my life. I promise to be the partner you deserve. The father Nia deserves. The man I want to be. I choose you. Today and every day. Patricia was crying openly now. She took a breath, steadying herself. Brandon, when my husband died, I thought love was over for me. I thought I would just raise Nia alone and that would be enough. But you showed me that the heart has infinite capacity for love. That there is always room for one more person. You have given us security, yes. But more importantly, you have given us hope. You have shown Nia what a good man looks like. What love with integrity and kindness looks like. And you have shown me that it is okay to trust again. To hope again. To love again. I choose you. Today and forever. They exchanged rings, simple platinum bands engraved with their initials and wedding date. Then the officiant smiled. By the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Brandon, you may kiss your bride. He did, gentle and sure, as their guests cheered. When they pulled apart, both were smiling through tears. Nia ran up and hugged them both, joining their family hug. Ladies and gentlemen, the officiant announced, I present to you the Cole family. More cheers, more applause. They walked back down the aisle together, hand in hand, Nia between them. A family. Complete and whole and real. At the reception they danced and ate and celebrated. Gerald gave a touching speech about watching Brandon transform from a guarded businessman into a loving family man. Aunt Rose welcomed Brandon officially into the family. Nia gave a short speech that made everyone laugh and cry. I found a camera, she said solemnly. And it changed everything. Sometimes bad things help you find good things. Sometimes you have to be brave and tell the truth even when it is scary. I'm glad I was brave. Because now I have the best dad and the best family. Thank you for coming to celebrate with us. As the sun set, Brandon and Patricia shared their first dance as husband and wife. Around them, their loved ones watched and smiled and celebrated love conquering fear, trust overcoming betrayal, and family being found in unexpected places. We did it, Patricia whispered as they swayed to the music. We really did it. We did. And this is just the beginning. The beginning of what? Everything. Our life. Our adventure. Our happily ever after. She smiled, resting her head on his shoulder. I like the sound of that. As the evening ended and guests departed, Brandon, Patricia, and Nia stood together in the garden. Their garden now. Their home. Their family. Best day ever, Nia declared. Best day ever, Patricia agreed. Best day ever, Brandon echoed, pulling them both close. And as stars appeared in the darkening sky, the Cole family walked inside together, ready to begin their new life. A life built on truth, trust, and love that would last forever. 1 year later, Brandon stood in his office looking out at the city. So much had changed since that day Nia had whispered about the camera. His company had grown exponentially. 3 new products had launched successfully. His team had doubled in size. Investors were thrilled. Competitors were respectful. But none of that mattered as much as what was happening at home. Patricia's interior design business had taken off. She had a waiting list of clients 6 months long. Her work had been featured in several magazines. She was considering hiring an assistant to handle the overflow. Brandon was so proud of her he could burst. Nia was thriving in 4th grade. Her teacher called her, the most curious student I have had in 20 years. She had won the regional science fair with her project on solar energy. She played soccer, took piano lessons, and still loved reading about space and cameras and how things worked. And most importantly, they were happy. Genuinely, deeply, simply happy. That evening, Brandon came home to find Patricia cooking dinner while Nia did homework at the kitchen table. Normal. Routine. Perfect. How was your day? Patricia asked, kissing his cheek as he entered. Good. We finalized the merger with TechVision. It is official. That is wonderful. Congratulations. Nia looked up from her math worksheet. Dad, can you help me with this problem? I do not understand long division. Dad. The word still made him smile every time. Of course. Let me see. They worked through the problem together, Brandon explaining the steps patiently. Nia caught on quickly as she always did. By the time dinner was ready, she had finished the whole worksheet on her own. Over dinner they talked about their days. Brandon shared stories from the office. Patricia described a difficult client who could not decide on paint colors. Nia told them about the new girl at school who loved science as much as she did. Her name is Emily. She wants to be an astronaut. Can she come over this weekend? We want to work on our science projects together. Of course she can, Patricia said. I will call her mother. After dinner, as was their tradition, they each shared one good thing and one challenge from their day. Nia went first. My good thing was making a new friend. My challenge was when Tommy made fun of my lunch. What did you do? Brandon asked. I told him everyone has different food they like and that is okay. Then I offered him a carrot stick. He took it and said sorry. That was very mature of you, Patricia said, pride shining in her eyes. When it was Brandon's turn, he thought carefully. My good thing is right now. This moment with you too. My challenge today was dealing with a potential lawsuit from a former employee. Did you resolve it? Patricia asked, concerned. Yes. We offered a fair settlement. He accepted. Crisis averted. Patricia's turn. My good thing was landing 3 new clients today. My challenge is feeling like I do not have enough time for everything. What can I do to help? Brandon asked immediately. You are already doing it? Being here. Supporting us. Not everyone would be okay with their wife running a business while raising a child and managing a household. You do not manage it alone. We are a team, remember? The best team, Nia added, reaching across the table to hold both their hands. Later that evening, after Nia had gone to bed, Brandon and Patricia sat in their favorite spot on the back patio. The night was cool but comfortable. Stars dotted the sky above. Can you believe it has been a year since the wedding? Patricia asked, leaning against him. Feels like yesterday and forever ago at the same time. Do you ever think about what would have happened if Nia had not found that camera? Sometimes. I would have married Valerie. My business would have been destroyed. I would have been bitter and broken. I would still be struggling to make ends meet. Nia would be going to public school, which is not bad, but not the education she is getting now. We would never have met properly. Never have had this chance. So really we owe everything to Nia's sharp eyes and brave heart. And your willingness to listen to a child. Not every adult would have taken her seriously. Brandon thought about that. I almost did not. For a split second I thought about dismissing it, but something in her eyes stopped me. Fear, yes, but also certainty. She knew something was wrong. Children see things adults miss. We get so caught up in the way things are supposed to be that we miss what is actually happening. Well, I am grateful she saw what she saw. And I am grateful she trusted me enough to tell me. Patricia was quiet for a moment. Then she said softly, "Can I tell you something?" "Anything." "I am pregnant." Brandon froze. "What?" "I found out this morning. I was waiting for the right moment to tell you. I am about 6 weeks along." Joy exploded through him. "Patricia, that is incredible. We are going to have a baby?" "We are going to have a baby. Nia is going to have a little brother or sister." "Are you happy?" "Happy? I am beyond happy. I am. I do not even have words." He kissed her deeply, his hand resting on her still flat stomach. A new life growing there. Another child to love and protect. Their family was expanding. "We should tell Nia soon," Patricia said. "She will be so excited. Tomorrow morning. At breakfast. We will tell her together." That night, Brandon lay awake, his hand on Patricia's stomach. Baby. Their baby. Nia would be a big sister. The house would fill with different sounds. Diapers and bottles and baby laughter. He thought about the journey that had led him here. The betrayal that had broken him open. The little girl who had saved him. The woman who had taught him to trust again. And now, a new life coming to complete their family. As sunlight broke through the curtains the next morning, Brandon woke to find Nia jumping on their bed. Wake up, wake up. It is Saturday. Can we make pancakes?" Patricia laughed, pulling her daughter down for a hug. "We can make pancakes. But first, we have something to tell you." Nia's eyes went wide. "What? Am I in trouble?" "No, baby. Something good. Really good." Patricia took Nia's hands. "You are going to be a big sister." Nia's mouth fell open. "Really? You are having a baby?" "Yes. In about 7 months. That is so cool. Baby. Can I help take care of it?" "You will be the best big sister ever," Brandon said, ruffling her hair. "You can teach the baby everything you know. I will read to the baby. And show them how cameras work. And teach them to ride a bike. This is the best news ever." Over breakfast they talked about names and nurseries and all the changes coming. Nia was full of questions. Would the baby be a boy or girl? When would they know? Could she help decorate the nursery? "We will find out the gender in a few months," Patricia explained. "But yes, you can absolutely help with the nursery. And with everything else. I am going to be the best big sister. I promise." The months passed quickly. Patricia's business continued to grow, though she scaled back slightly in the 3rd trimester. Brandon arranged for his best project manager to cover for him once the baby arrived, planning to take several weeks off to be with his family. Nia threw herself into big sister preparation. She read books about babies. She practiced holding dolls. She helped Brandon set up the nursery, which they painted a cheerful yellow since they had decided not to find out the gender. At a routine checkup in month 7, the doctor said, "Would you like to know the sex? It is very clear on the ultrasound." Brandon and Patricia looked at each other. They had agreed to wait, but suddenly curiosity overwhelmed them both. "Yes," they said together. "Congratulations. You are having a boy." "A boy." Brandon felt tears prick his eyes. "A son. You would have a son. And Nia would have a little brother." "A boy," Patricia whispered, her hand squeezing Brandon's. "We are having a boy." They told Nia that evening. She squealed with delight. "I get a brother. I have always wanted a brother. What should we name him?" They spent weeks discussing names. Finally they agreed. Jacob. Jacob Rose Cole. Jacob for strength, Rose for Patricia's aunt who had supported them from the beginning. On a warm evening in late summer, Patricia's water broke. They rushed to the hospital, Nia staying with Aunt Rose. The labor was long but uncomplicated. And at 3:42 a.m., Jacob Rose Cole entered the world. He was perfect. 10 fingers, 10 toes, a strong cry, healthy lungs. Brandon held his son for the first time and felt his entire world expand. This tiny human, this new person was his responsibility. His to protect and teach and love. "He is beautiful," Patricia said, exhausted but glowing. "Our little Jake. He looks like you. He has your nose. Poor kid." They laughed, giddy with exhaustion and joy. Nia came to visit that afternoon, Aunt Rose bringing her. She tiptoed into the room, her eyes huge. That is him? That is my brother? That is him. Come meet Jake. Nia climbed onto the bed carefully. Brandon placed the baby in her arms, supporting them both. She stared down at her brother, tears streaming down her face. Hi Jake. I'm your big sister Nia. I'm going to love you forever and ever. I'm going to protect you and teach you everything. You are so lucky because you have the best family. The best parents and the best big sister. Welcome home. Brandon and Patricia looked at each other over their children's heads. Both were crying now. Tears of joy and gratitude and overwhelming love. This was their family. Complete and whole. Built from ashes of betrayal. Forged in fires of truth. Strengthened by choices to love and trust and hope. The first months with a newborn were exhausting. Sleepless nights and endless diapers. But they managed together. Patricia breastfed while Brandon changed diapers. Nia helped in small ways, fetching burp cloths and singing to Jake when he cried. You are such a good big sister, Brandon told her one evening as she gently rocked Jake's bassinet. I love him so much. Even when he screams at 2 a.m. That makes you a true sister. Love that survives the screaming. As fall arrived, they settled into a new routine. Patricia returned to work part-time, doing consultations from home. Brandon went into the office but worked flexible hours. Nia started 5th grade, proudly telling everyone about her baby brother. One Saturday morning, 6 months after Jake was born, the doorbell rang unexpectedly. Brandon answered to find Officer Rachel Kim standing there, smiling. Rachel, what a surprise. Come in. I cannot stay long. But I wanted to bring you this in person. She handed him an envelope. Inside was a check. A very large check. What is this? The final restitution payment. Valerie got a job in the prison library. She has been sending monthly payments toward what she owes you. This is the last of it. Brandon stared at the check. She has been paying me back? Every month. Without fail. I think prison changed her. Or maybe she was always capable of change and just needed the wake-up call. How much longer does she have? She will be out in 2 years. Behaved perfectly, so she is getting early release. Brandon folded the check, tucking it back in the envelope. I'm going to donate this to organizations that help people rebuild after betrayal. Financial crimes victims. Things like that. That is generous of you. It is not about generosity. It is about closing the loop. Turning something bad into something good. After Rachel left, Brandon sat with the envelope. He thought about Valerie working in a prison library, sending monthly payments she probably could barely afford. Maybe she really had changed. Maybe prison had given her time to think about who she wanted to be. He hoped so. Not for his sake but for hers. Everyone deserved a chance at redemption. That evening, the whole family gathered around the dinner table. Jake sat in his high chair, smashing sweet potatoes into his face. Nia talked about her upcoming class trip. Patricia shared plans for a new client's bathroom renovation. Brandon told them about Rachel's visit and what he planned to do with the money. That is a good idea, Patricia said. Helping others who went through what you did. Our family was built from betrayal, Brandon said. Maybe we can help other families find hope after hurt. I like that, Nia said. We can be like hope superheroes. Exactly. Hope superheroes. As the months turned into years, the Cole family continued to grow and change. Nia started middle school, all braces and growth spurts and increasing independence. Jake learned to walk, then talk, then never stopped talking. Patricia's business expanded to 3 employees. Brandon's company became one of the top 5 tech firms in the country. But through it all, the core remained the same. Family dinners. Saturday park visits. Sunday morning pancakes. Small moments of connection that added up to a life well lived. One evening, 5 years after that fateful day when Nia found the camera, the family sat together looking at photo albums. Pictures of the wedding. Pictures of Jake as a newborn. Pictures of Nia's graduation from elementary school. Look how small I was, Nia said, now 13 and nearly as tall as her mother. I cannot believe I was ever that little. You will always be my little girl, Patricia said, kissing her head. Even when you are 40 and have kids of your own. Mom, gross. I'm not thinking about kids. I am thinking about getting into MIT. You will get in, Brandon said confidently. With your grades and your science fair wins, they would be lucky to have you. I hope so. I want to study engineering. Build things that help people. Like cameras that catch bad people? Jake piped up. He was 5 now, all curly hair and endless energy. Maybe. Or maybe cameras that explore space. Or help doctors see inside people. The possibilities are endless. Brandon watched his family, his heart full. This was everything. Not the money or the success or the recognition. The people he loved who loved him back. Children he would watch grow and change. A wife who was his partner in every sense. A life built on truth and trust and choices made every day to show up and care. The doorbell rang. Brandon answered to find a delivery person holding a large box. "Package for Cole family," the person said. Brandon signed and carried the box inside. There was no return address. Curious, he opened it carefully. Inside was a photo album. Old, worn but carefully maintained. And a letter. "Dear Brandon, Patricia, and Nia. I am being released next month. I wanted to send this before I did. Inside you will find photos from before everything went wrong. When I first met Brandon, before I made the choices that hurt everyone. I do not expect forgiveness. I do not deserve it. But I wanted you to have these. Because once, briefly, some of what I felt was real. And I want you to know that. I've spent 5 years thinking about what I did. The harm I caused. The trust one betrayed. Prison gave me time to understand that I was broken long before I met you, Brandon. Broken and trying to fill the holes with money and schemes and lies. It did not work. It only made the holes bigger. I do not know who I will be when I get out. But I know who I do not want to be anymore. I do not want to be someone who steals and lies and hurts people. I want to be someone who builds and helps and tells the truth. I am working toward that. One day at a time. I heard you donated the restitution money to help others. That is more grace than I deserve. Thank you. Be happy. Love each other. Treasure what you have. It is more valuable than anything I ever tried to steal. Valerie." Brandon read the letter twice. Then he showed it to Patricia. They stood together in the kitchen, processing this unexpected communication. "What do you think?" Patricia asked. "I think people can change. I think prison really did give her time to reflect. I think maybe she found something real in all that darkness." "Do you forgive her?" Brandon considered. "I do not know. Maybe I already have without realizing it. The anger is gone. The hurt is healed. All that is left is hope that she finds peace." "That is a good answer." They put the album away, deciding they would look through it later. Maybe. Or maybe not. The past was past. What mattered was the present and the future. That night, as Brandon tucked Nia into bed, she asked, "Dad, do you think things happen for a reason?" "What do you mean?" "Like, do you think I found that camera for a reason? So we could be a family?" Brandon thought about it. "I think we make choices and those choices have consequences. Your choice to tell me the truth had good consequences. Valerie's choice to plant cameras had bad ones. But all those choices together led to where we are now. So maybe it is not that things happen for a reason, but that we find reasons in the things that happen." "That is deep." He laughed. "Too deep for bedtime?" "Maybe. But I like it. I'm glad I told you about the camera. Even though I was scared." "Me too, sweetheart. Me too." He kissed her forehead and turned out the light. Down the hall, Jake was already asleep. Patricia was in their bedroom, reading a design magazine. Brandon stood in the hallway of his home, listening to the quiet sounds of his family sleeping. 5 years ago, he had been engaged to a woman who was stealing from him. His life had been built on lies he did not even know existed. Now his life was built on truth. Hard truths sometimes. Painful truths. But real truths. And from those truths had grown something beautiful and lasting and worth every struggle to get here. He thought about the question he had been asked earlier in the week during an interview. "What is the secret to your success, Mr. Cole?" He had given the expected answer about hard work and innovation. But the real answer was standing in that hallway. The real secret was learning that success was not about money or power or status. Success was about building a life that mattered. A life filled with people who cared about you and who you cared about in return. Success was loving and being loved. Everything else was just details. Brandon walked into his bedroom where his wife was waiting. He climbed into bed beside her, pulling her close. "Happy?" she asked. "Completely. You. Beyond measure. We really made it, did not we?" "We really did." From that terrifying day when Nia found the camera to now. 5 years. A lifetime. The best lifetime. And we have so many more years ahead of us. They fell asleep in each other's arms, secure and content and deeply, profoundly grateful. Outside, stars wheeled across the sky. Inside, a family slept peacefully, their lives intertwined in ways that went deeper than biology or legal papers. They were family because they chose each other. Because they showed up for each other. Because they loved each other through good days and hard days and all the ordinary days in between. And somewhere in the city, a woman who had once caused great harm prepared to step into a future she hoped would be better than her past. She did not know if redemption was possible. But she was going to try. One day, one choice, one act of honesty at a time. Because if a billionaire could forgive and a 7-year-old could be brave and a single mother could learn to trust again, then maybe, just maybe, there was hope for everyone. The story that began with a whispered warning and a tiny camera had become a story of family, forgiveness, and the courage to build something new from broken pieces. It was not a fairy tale with magic and fantasy. It was something better. It was real. And real love, the kind built on truth and tested by fire, was the strongest love of all.